Red lights go on, and out they go, and the race gets underway. Who makes the best of the starts this time? Not everyone gets away at first. It's Rich Miles with the orange front to his car that gets into the lead, sort of golden green car of Ryan Yarrow to his left-hand side. It's the 42 car of Clint Newman slotting into third position in the work Spire colours, the silver and orange familiar colours that we often see those cars liveried in, but everyone else making their way through. You've got the 1000cc even superbike engines in the Sports 1000 cars. You've got 1340cc Hayabusa, Suzuki Hayabusa engines in the Cup 200 cars. They race together. It actually makes for a very good looking and very competitive field. Cars heading through Tower for the first time. That's one of the Cup 200 cars locking up. It's Dave Watson, who had an off yesterday and looking to get his first Cup 200 win of the season under his belt today.
Yes, it was Al Bolton taking a debut win in Cup 200 yesterday. Just watching the start there, Clint Newman walloped the curb at Clairvaux in a worryingly similar way to what Ryan Yarrow did yesterday. Different makes of car, of course. Ryan in the Spire, whereas Clint Newman is in the Mattel. Hopefully that hasn't caused a similar issue to what Ryan Yarrow had yesterday. Dan Clues looking very racy on this first lap with his freshly repaired clutch in his Works number 2 Mattel. Fresh new bodywork on that car at the rear of it, which is inspired by their Bike Sports machine. It was looking very close to the hairpin and in the complex, but the 42 Spike getting away very nicely off of the hairpin, and so actually it was the 43 of Paul Rogers that was looking much closer to Dan Clues by the time they got into Clairvaux.
20-minute race this one. Yesterday we managed to squeeze 15 laps out of that, so we'll see if we get the same again today. TSL time not updating itself just as yet, so we'll keep an eye on what's going on out of the window. Certainly it's Rich Miles that is leading from Ryan Yarrow, but Dan Clues in issues again, Chris.
No, it looks like he's got more problems. Hand up in the air to show he's got some sort of mechanical issue in that car. Dan Clues was in 4th position, but only on the 2nd lap, and a spin there for the number 7 car of Mark Alexander Williams down at Tower Bend for Dan Clues. Wow. Disappointing weekend. 2
retirements so early in the season for the ex-F1000 champion. Not a particularly happy visit to North Yorkshire for him. We're watching Colin Chapman there in the number 63 car, chased by Carl Austin in 44. At the moment, they're both just behind Paul Roger. These are the 3 and 5th, 6th and 7th positions at the moment. 2 leaders, as you can see, well out in front. Rich Miles and Ryan Yarrow. Then a gap back to Clint Newman, who's on his own. And of course, that battle for what I said was 5th, actually going to be 4th now, with the demise of Clues, who is just at the moment parked up on the short circuit cut through. 2 leaders though, they're not separated by very much at all, only a couple of car lengths really as they come out of the chicane. There's Clint Newman, who clonked that curb at Clairvaux on the opening lap. He's a little bit ahead of Paul Rogers. Then it's Colin Chapman, and he has got Austin behind him, but Yarrow pushing on, and he looked to go a little bit deep into the corner there.
Yeah, a little bit deeper. It hasn't actually cost him too much time, just looking out the window. Move here, which is the 44 Carl Austin, making his move on the inside of Colin Chapman for 5th position into Tower. Chapman getting a lovely up and under, and is able to draw alongside on the exit of the corner. And side by side in the Jim Clark S is not quite. Colin Chapman deciding that discretion was the better part of valour there. Carl Austin had a little bit of a wiggle on the way in, but that is 5th position now for Carl Austin.
It is indeed, and we are coming towards the end of lap number 3. I can tell you the 2 leaders are still pretty close together, and Ryan Yarrow having a look up the inside for the lead as they come through the hairpin. The 2 of them are side by side, as you can see them coming out of the corner now. It's just about Rich Miles with his nose ahead, and he's going to have the inside line for Clairvaux as well. But has Ryan Yarrow got sufficient momentum in a straight line to drag himself alongside? He's just on the best lap of the race, a 1:25, 1:33, but it's not going to be enough to get him into the lead at Clairvaux corner. But Rich Miles, yesterday's race winner, very much feeling the pressure now.
Yeah, Ryan Yarrow now in a healthy car. Yesterday he was managing that wheel bearing issue throughout the entire race, still managing to finish second despite it. But there was a 22-second gap between these two cars at the checkered flag yesterday. But now Yarrow with a healthy car, very much piling on the pressure on Rich Miles again to the outside, trying the up and under to get the momentum out of the corner. But he won't be able to draw it alongside by the time they get to the Jim Clark S's, and Ryan Yarrow will have to settle back into second place. But both of these guys running Spire machinery. Ryan Yarrow's car, formerly the factory Billy Allbone car, and Ryan Yarrow has raced that to great success. 3 titles in Sports 1000 Championship. Oh, just dipping his wheels though on the grass on the outside of Sunny Out though, and that's cost him just a little bit of momentum on the run into the complex, and he's not quite as close through here as he was last time around. But Rich Miles himself, I think, gathering up a little bit of oversteer in the complex, and we see nose to tail once again as they exit the hairpin and tick off another lap.
Yep, so 4 laps now completed, and they were pretty much dead heating over the line last time around. This time it's nearly half a second in favour of Rich Miles, ahead of Ryan Yarrow in second position, 5 seconds or so ahead of Clint Newman in third place, who in turn, Paul Rogers, has a decent gap over Carl Austin in fifth, and Colin Chapman in sixth position. Best of the Cup 200 cars is still, it was Dave Watson,
Dave Watson.
Just dropped back, and Al Bolton, no, it is still Dave Watson ahead of Al Bolton, but Dave Watson lost a few overall track positions on that last lap. He is still 5 seconds or 4.5 seconds clear of Al Bolton, so we'll perhaps see if we pick up on that in a moment. But for the moment here, we're watching Carl Austin, who's getting away now from Colin Chapman.
I see the top two, they were nose to tail coming out of Tower Bend, so they're still very much together. We see Carl Austin here a little bit further down in fifth position, still pulling clear of Colin Chapman. Sure, the leaders will be coming into the complex pretty soon. Oh, that was somebody having an off, wasn't it? It would look like one of the Cup 200 cars. It could have
been Watson, couldn't it?
It could have been Watson for the second time this weekend.
Yeah, because he's immediately behind this group of 3 Sports 1000 cars. He had Hutchinson, Charlie Sutton and Johnny McGill.
And see the leaders going through the hairpin once again, and Yarrow had a real big dive up the inside into the hairpin, wasn't quite able to make it stick, but Rich Miles looks like he's feeling the pressure because he's hugging the right-hand side of the racetrack. He is refusing to give Yarrow the inside line for Clervaux, and again the outside line for Yarrow, and can't make anything stick, but maybe he'll have a run down the straight after the chicane towards Tower Bend once again. Rich Miles is soaking up the pressure, and Rich Miles having been somebody who just pops into these races, is very, very fast, maybe wins one of them, and seems to go away for a little bit, but side by side for the lead here as Ryan Yarrow goes to the outside line, and he seems to refuse to go around the outside. He prefers to do the up and under.
Yeah, and he got very crossed up through the corner. I don't think he lost as much time as he might have done there through the Jim Clark S's, where you can see that there's an extra tyre stack on the 2 apexes of the corner compared to yesterday. That's just to make sure there's no naughtiness around track limits. I think there's also been an extra bollard placed at Croft as well to just discourage drivers from transgressing those track limits at that part of the circuit as well. You've got the leaders, they're not quite as close now as they head into the complex on this lap 6 of what's probably going to be 15 during the course of 14 during the course of this race, which is what we completed yesterday. Up the inside into the hairpin goes Yarrow. He's got his car overlapping, and it's what we had about 3 or 4 laps ago. The two of them absolutely side by side over the line. It's just about miles ahead, not by miles, by inches, as they go over the line. And again, it's 0.045 seconds, which I think is exactly what it was about 3 laps ago. But this time, it's Miles that prevails over Yarrow as they go into Clervaux corner. Miles is really driving very hard, very fair, very defensively. Ryan Yarrow just desperate to try and find a way through and get a win after the disappointment of yesterday's race, when he had that problem with the wheel bearing, and he dropped well back down the order. He's going to have another go to the outside line into Tower Corner, and going to try and get a switch back on the exit of the corner if Miles goes wide, which he doesn't. And Miles, the ex-Compact Cup racer, continues to lead as we work lap 7. What that
is telling for like the last lap of the race, for example, because if Yarrow slings one up the inside on the last lap at the hairpin, he knows he can't out-drag or out-traction Miles on the way to the timing line. So that probably suggests you want to be on the outside actually for that last corner on the last lap. But Yarrow dropping a little bit of ground there, side by side a bit further back for 8th position. That looked like Ian Hutchinson getting up ahead of Charlie Sladden.
Yeah, so for P8, that's Hutchinson in the red Spy. It's the blue Mattel, the ex-Danny Andrew car, I think that is, of Charlie Sladden, who switched over from the Sabre that he raced last season, and he seems to have moved forward a little bit because of that. He's lost, though, the engine cover of that car. Whether he started without it or not, I don't know, but no engine cover on the rear of that Mattel just at the moment. We're about halfway through this race, just under 10 minutes to go. It's still Rich Miles leading from Ryan Yarrow, who has the fastest lap of the race, that 1:25.133. Not as quick as Rich Miles went yesterday when he was into the 1:24.3s.
A bit further back, there was Cup 200 cars there, still being led by David Watson. This is the 24 machine, a little bit further back, but yeah, Dave Watson, that's Al Bolton there, the 77, who's just ahead of Naeem Haq in the number 9 machine. There is our Cup 200 race leader, making up for the mistake. Well, actually, we don't know if it was a mistake that put him off at Tower Bend yesterday. It could have been contact. We didn't really find out in the end, did we? What actually happened down there, but certainly the disappointment of yesterday he's trying to make up for. Al Bolton on his debut weekend in Cup 200 as well. And, yeah, this is Dave Watson getting onto the back of Charlie Sladden by the looks of it, who seems to have dropped a bit of speed, but back with the race leaders, who are very close once again. That's half a second at the timing line with 8 and a bit minutes left to run, and now they are encountering the traffic of the Cup 200 machines, and the 83 of Alexander Law getting well out of the way. But that is an opportunity for Ryan Yarrow to get up the inside into the chicane. Is that a potential problem there for Rich Miles, or is he just a bit wrong-footed after going a little bit wide at Hawthorne?
Well, yeah, he was all over the curb, wasn't he, at the exit of the chicane, and he's lost a lot of ground now to the race leader. So was that a problem, or was that just a, as you say, bit of being in a slightly discombobulated situation? He's got a couple of seconds now, I would say, to try and make up on the race leader, Ryan Yarrow. We're watching Clint Newman there, 3rd place man in his 2nd season, first full season of racing. Had a stunning debut at Alton Park in the middle of last year. There's Yarrow then. There's Dave Watson, 85. He continues to lead the Cup 200 class. He's got a couple of cars between himself and Al Bolton now. And in fact, only one Naeem Haq, because Charlie Sladden, who you mentioned a moment ago, may have gone missing. We've got Colin Chapman, though, back with Carl Austin, who dropped back from Carl Austin and is back with now the man from Devon, as we are into the last 7 minutes of the race.
Yeah, it's gone by quite quickly, isn't it? Yeah, leader's gone across the timing line, confirming that Ryan Yarrow is our new race leader, but this battle for 5th position seems to have reignited. Colin Chapman finding a second wind, so to speak, and nothing on the lap times to suggest that Carl Austin has dropped back. Maybe when they get across the timing line, that might be a bit more telling of the previous lap, but they are not separated by much at all. In fact, only separated by half a second. Yeah, even last time around, they weren't separated by much at all. But Colin Chapman following in the wheel tracks of Carl Austin there. Colin Chapman finishing 4th in the championship last year, has over 25 years of circuit racing to his experience, and not just car racing. He's done motocross, he's done sidecar cross, he's raced in classics as well, and he's in the former Richard Morris Spire, isn't he? The one that finished 2nd in the championship back in 2019.
And he's making his way through the Jim Clark S's now in very close proximity with Carl Austin, who's a relative newcomer, and he appeared in the last, I think, 3 or 4 seasons with Sports 1000, but immediately on the pace, really, as soon as he appeared for the first time. There's Watson again, with a quite comfortable lead at the moment over Al Bolton of, yeah, about probably 10 seconds or something like that now. New fastest lap for Ryan Yarrow now. He's got some clear out, 1:24.604, so he's found about half a second from the lap times he was doing when he was behind Rich Miles, which is interesting, as Chapman was just about to go up the inside there of Carl Austin. He didn't make that work, though.
Oh, side by side across the start-finish line with Carl Austin, just able to out-drag Colin Chapman. Of course, he would have been on the outside line at the hairpin, which seems to be more favourable. Colin Chapman taking a big dive up the inside and just has his nose chopped across by Carl Austin there. That was a big old dive. He's got a narrow line through Hawthorne, but it doesn't quite draw him alongside the 44 by the time they get into the chicane. And again, these guys are encountering traffic now, the Cup 200 machinery, but it sticks well to the right-hand side on the run down into Tower Bend, and Colin Chapman has to wait for another opportunity to try and take that 5th place back again.
Yep, only about 5 minutes left to do it, though, as they head through the Jim Clark S's once again, and they then head off up to Croft. Chapman, very experienced. Yesterday he finished in 5th position, despite some niggles that he was having, and actually today only in 6th place right now, because Carl Austin it is who's moved forward by 1 place from his result of yesterday. Lost sort of Dan Clues from ahead of them in the field in both of those races. Certainly it was clutch issues yesterday, whether it's a recurrence of those or something else that's beset his Mittal today, not quite sure. Out of the hairpin they come, and yep, still Carl Austin holding on for place. Colin Chapman able to do nothing about him as they cross the line for the 11th time in this race, so probably 3 laps to go for them. Meanwhile, Ryan Yarrow's lead is still around about 2 seconds. It just came down by a couple of tenths on the last lap. But Chapman's certainly not given up on this 5th place, has he?
No.
Very feisty, experienced racer now.
Yeah, won't take no for an answer, will he? 3 minutes left on the clock, and running back towards Tower Bend once again. The slipstream is effective in these cars, but it's not quite enough to draw him up to the back of Carl Austin, unfortunately. So he's going to have to get inventive, really. He's tried the inside line at the hairpin. Maybe he's saving something for the last lap to try and catch Carl Austin unawares. Perhaps he seems pretty quick in this part of the circuit, doesn't he? He gets a bit closer, doesn't he?
There's Al Bolton, yesterday's race winner in the Atomic Racing Cup 200s, where he beat Dave Watson to 2nd place yesterday. It's Mike Whiteman-Hayward 3rd, and that's also the order of it today. As it's another spin for the number 7 car of Mark Alexander Williams in the Mittal. Looks like he's lost power, trying to fire it up again. Away he goes. But former kit car racer having 1 or 2 dramas there as he starts to acquaint himself really with this Mittal bike engine cars. The battle for 5th comes across the line again with 2 laps to go now for them. They are probably about 34 seconds, so getting on for half a lap now behind the race leader Ryan Yarrow, who still has a lead of now just under 2 seconds over Rich Miles as they go into the final couple of laps. Yeah,
Rich Miles did a personal best last time round. It was 24.6 versus Ryan Yarrow's 24.9. So not anything that's going to trouble Ryan Yarrow just yet. This is the 83 machine of Alexander Aloro. The Aloro Competizione. He's 3rd amongst the Cup 200 runners, which unfortunately is last overall at the moment of the Cup 200 cars. 4th actually, of the Cup 200 cars, and last overall. But the Formula 2 and LMP2 race engineer in his 2nd year of car racing. He was driver of the day at Anglesey last year.
As Mike Whiteman-Hayward is just going through shot there, he is just ahead, I think, on the road of the race leader Ryan Yarrow, who's now gone on to his last lap, having just done another fastest lap of the race to extend the lead now to 3.2 seconds. Yeah,
that was quite impressive. That was 1.3 seconds faster than Rich Miles on that previous lap alone. So whether Miles got a bit wrong-footed in traffic, and that's contributed to the rapid extension of that gap. Yes, definitely with less than a minute left on the clock, there's really only Ryan himself who can take this race win away from him now, isn't it?
Yeah, so he's got more traffic to deal with, though. That's always something that's a bit of a concern. That's the 34 car of Stephen Dean, who's running in 13th position overall. in his spire, but Yarrow able to make fairly short work of him, getting him at that little straight between Sunny and the complex. So he comes into the complex now for the final time. It's number 54, Ryan Yarrow, the man from Bury in Greater Manchester, a 3-time champion in Sports 1000 already. There's some bodywork from somebody's car, but out of the hairpin for the final time comes Ryan Yarrow, number 54. Disappointment yesterday, but it's going to be a win in round 2 of the Nankang Tyre Sports 1000 Championship.
No, I think that's the last lap board that's only just gone out, because they were...
And again, it's a lap late, because it was 20 minutes was up at the time they'd gone. So
20 minutes by 0.4 of a second. I think we can...
20 minutes is 20 minutes, Chris, come on. So we've got the same situation as yesterday, where Ryan Yarrow's going to have to go on and do another lap. We did get the result wound back to the correct point yesterday in the end. I suspect we'll have to do the same again today. Let's hope there's no major dramas, anyone, on this sort of extra lap anyway, that we possibly didn't really need with the tightness of the timetable today. But Rich Miles it is that's turning his way through Tower Corner in a pursuit of Ryan Yarrow that probably doesn't really count for anything. And they're going through the Jim Clark S's now. Clint Newman was across the line in 3rd, Paul Rogers 4th, quite big gaps there. Colin Chapman was still monstering Carl Austin in the fight for 5th position. But there's Miles turning his way through, and yeah, he is probably aware of the fact that 20 minutes has already gone by, so we'll be keen to do nothing too silly. But Ryan Yarrow, we'll call him home again, is going around the outside of Al Bolton. In that case, he's in 12th place overall, and up to the line to win round 2 of the championship. The Nankang Tyre Sports 1000 Championship is belatedly Ryan Yarrow. Rich Miles takes 2nd place. Then we're going to have a pause before Clint Newman comes through in 3rd. He's just coming out of the hairpin now, and he'll be heading down to the start line. You can just about see him in the distance on the live stream there. He gets the applause of the team as he goes over the line. Another solid podium result for Clint Newman in his first full season of racing. Paul Rogers, a former champion from a decade or so ago, he takes 4th place. Carl Austin is he going to come home in 5th? That's the question, because Colin Chapman's still having a look up the inside into the hairpin for the final time. Carl Austin comes out of the corner now, and I think he is just going to hold on. So Carl Austin, it is in the 44 car that takes 5th. Colin Chapman just behind him for 6th. That was probably the battle of the race, really, once the lead battle had been decided. And then
a victorious arm raise there from Carl Austin.
Well, I imagine it feels like a victory, because he's had a full workout in that race.
Yeah.
Real good battle he had.
Fantastic.
I'm sure, and that's the great thing about club level racing, whether it's for 1st or for 5th position. So long as you've had a good time with your mates, and in particular Sports 1000, that's a big thing, then that's really all that matters.
So Jonathan McGill lost 7th place there to Ian Hutchinson on the last lap, and still hasn't come across the line. So I wonder if there's a last lap drama there. I mean, we think it's going to get wound back anyway.
Yeah, he's coming through now. There's Dave Watson about to come across the line as well. In fact, he has done so, yes, hasn't he, to take the Cup 200 class.
Oh, McGill's continuing to fall down the timing order.
Yeah, he did come through. He did come through. Wait, no, he came through at the hairpin and then stopped at the hairpin for some reason. He's now going to go and take the checkered flag eventually as Ryan Yarrow heads down the pit lane. So I think we'll find that the result goes back a lap, ultimately to the 14th lap rather than the 15th lap, which is when the checkered flag was eventually shown. But we'll give you details of the results at the end of that race. In any case, we should be able to bring you those momentarily. And so it was a win for number 54, Ryan Yarrow, by 3 seconds from number 24, Rich Miles. 3rd was number 42, Clint Newman. And then Paul Rogers was 4th in number 43. So, in fact, it's an all-spire top 6, isn't it? Because 5th was number 44, Carl Austin. 6th was 63, Colin Chapman. 7th was number 69, Ian Hutchinson. 8th, number 99, Dave Watson. Won Cup 200 in 9th place overall. Charlie Slazen in the Metal P. Dropped back a little bit in the middle of the race in the number 28 car, but nevertheless rounded out the top 10. And it was Johnny McGill, the last car on the lead lap. Despite his late dramas, he finished in 11th place, number 72, ahead of Al Bolton, who was the 2nd of the Cup 200 class cars, Stephen Dean, and then Mike Whiteman-Hayward, who was 3rd in Cup 200. Mark Alexander Williams had a couple of spins. Charlie Wright was necked up, and Alex Iloro, the last of the finishers in that Nankang Tyre Sports 1000 Championship race, with the Atomic Racing Cup 200. Championship is going to go to Silverstone next on the 18th and 19th of May, when the racing will be held on the national circuit there. So we've had 3 races here this afternoon, still 4 more to go, but we're going to head down to the pit lane now. Hopefully we'll hear from the top 3 with Tom Butterworth.
Well, the camera's not quite on us yet, but Ryan, talk us through that one. It looked pretty exciting. You were close all the way. He was defending like his life depended on it, and eventually you got through.
Yeah, it's a really difficult track to pass on if someone knows all the tricks of how to defend, and obviously Rich does. So I was just trying to bide my time. I could see him kind of, the amount of gravel I've had thrown at my face, he was stepping out of line all over, so I thought he'll either make a mistake or back markers, thankfully, gave me a bit of an opportunity. But, not to take anything, Rich drove fantastically. It was really, really difficult. I'm absolutely worn out. My arms went dead after about halfway through the race. So I was just desperate for it to finish, to be honest. I was struggling to hold on after a while. But yeah, obviously after yesterday, I'm really pleased to have won.
Yeah, you drove through pretty much the whole of the race yesterday, was it, with a wheel bearing issue, and still managed to bring it home second?
Yeah, yesterday I damaged a joint in like the first corner, and the car didn't feel quite right after that, and then eventually it actually failed, so the last 3 laps the wheel was just completely crooked. And
still brought it home second?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those ones where you just think, should I come in, or I thought I must be near the end, and that's useful points towards the end of the season. You never know what's going to happen, and so probably, not the most sensible thing to do, but it was good for the championship.
Well, absolutely, yeah, and like you say, points make prizes at the end of the year, and you're going to need every single one of them if Rich is going to push you like this.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're so evenly matched. It's difficult, but it's good because that's what you're here for. I don't want easy races, and Clint obviously as well. He's getting faster and faster, so it's shaping up to be exciting.
Great stuff. All right, we'll go very quickly over to Rich Miles as well, because we are going to have to throw this over to the next race very quickly. But Rich, talk us through that one. You were defending like your life depended on it. It was great to see.
Yeah, it was really tough. I had Ryan right behind me, fighting all the way. Unfortunately, I just got a back marker at the wrong time, sent me a bit wide and gave him a chance, got through.
Did you miss a gear? It looked like you...
Yeah, quite a few missed gears. I was struggling to get the box to engage, so something we'll have to look at, but...
Okay, well, thank you very much for that, and great race today, and we'll do a quick one with Clint Newman. Clint, talk us through that one.
Yeah, it's great. Second season, 2 podiums. Second half of the race was tough, losing grip. These guys are super fast, and yeah, happy with where I came. Lonely race.
Okay, well, a lonely race, but we will move on very quickly to the Massimo Tyres 5 Club Racing MX5 Cup. Great stuff here from the Sports 1000 Championship.